in the last 10 games or so, what we've seen is the Lotto line being put together, looking absolutely dynamic, mostly on the power play. 5-on-5, most of the production comes out of the chicken and ribs line or whatever you're calling it.
Yeah, whatever well, they've been kind of gone a little quiet lately. No?
Yeah, well, they got. You're right. It was a full Lotto line effort in their final game against the Jackets.
It was a full Lotto line and sprinkled with some defensemen.
That's true. In the past, you've had guys like Besser and Besser and Miller have essentially played together all year long, and they've been playing with guys like Phil DiGiuseppe.
Yep.
Sam Lafferty.
Okay, no. So they've played. Yeah, they've played with Sam Lafferty, not Teddy Blueger. PDG.
Yeah.
It's just been kind of a counter-rotating kind of situation. So, now you look at probably even across the NHL, the most popular thing right now isn't trios; it's duos.
Of course.
And then everyone can have the one responsible guy who picks up the pucks after practice on that line. And then the two superstars who carry the bucket, carry the lunch pail.
I'm very curious, like if with a lineup of Lindholm and Pettersson and Mikheyev, that is your dynamic, play driving, offensive minded line.
I think when I look at that line, I'm not sure if it's a incredibly strong two-way line. What I'm really curious to see is like if they do want to make like a hard matchup second line, I would even argue at times, depending on who they have, they might actually move off of Pettersson off that line, and they might just create like a Mikheyev, Lindholm, someone line. I could even at some point see like Lafferty, Lindholm, Mikheyev as just like, hey, this is a rough and tumble, puck retrieval. I mean, it doesn't really work when you think about it offensively.
That line becomes essentially a Selke line.
It just becomes.
And like Pettersson has a good two-way game. Mikheyev, he was signed maybe a couple $100,000 more than he should have been for his two-way game, and Lindholm is Lindholm. So I think that line's going to stay together as long as the chicken and ribs line and the Besser and the Miller line are producing. And I kind of feel like on that line with those type of guys, Pettersson's numbers, his offensive numbers, could take a little bit of a dip. But being said, they never score. He doesn't get anything 5-on-5 right now.
That's true, and that's the. I guess that's a little bit of the argument that you want to have right now is saying if he takes a hit offensively, is that enough defensively for what he brings in order to kind of create that second matchup line, right? But I would kind of also say, like, depending on who's going on the night, Miller can also squeeze down and be the second line. Like, I don't think Miller and Besser automatically, depending on how Pettersson Lindholm go, I think you have two interchangeable. This is the beauty of the trade, is that instead of going for someone like Jake Gensel, who's left, right wing, and then you're kind of stuck with, okay, these two guys are the pivots, and this goes back to my single only criticism about the Sedin era, is that you could not, for any realm or reason beyond like a little stretch, either injury in 2012 and 2011, regular season. Yeah, you thought.
Oh God, if I knocked that shelf over, so help me God.
You thought you got me, but you didn't. I said regular season.
This could have been a cursed episode.
My only criticism of the Sedin era was that there was just no interchangeability with the lineup. It was Daniel Henrik, the other person, and that's having two of your best players having to intrinsically be linked together. It just caused sometimes that if they're not going, it's not like, man, like
they're not going to go out there and put some sandpaper out there and create.
They're not going to be okay.
Their own way.
Yeah. The funny part about it is, when they actually were split up due to injury, they actually both had like award-winning seasons.
Of course.